Itamar Ben-Gvir. He's widely expected now to be appointed to head a newly created ministry referred to as national security in the next government. Now it's clear his rise and desire to steer the country's security posture, especially against terrorism, it's already having an impact in the field. Some ugly footage emerged from an incident in the West Bank city of Hebron going into the weekend. Clearly identifiable soldiers from the IDF infantry getting physical, taking down some civilians referred to as left-wing activists who had come to harass the on-duty Israeli combat soldiers in the Palestinian city. To be fair, now the army suspended these guys as they investigate. It's not a new phenomenon, sadly, but there's plenty of controversial encounters to unpack over the years. What is new is the soldiers in this incident proudly proclaiming to the camera that the new incoming far-right leader, Ben-Gvir, has their back and will, as they put it, make things right. Now, Ben-Gvir didn't shy from tackling this development on national television. Cast blame on the activists, claiming they provoked the troops. That issue aside, first, here's more from the incident under focus.
הולך לעשות פה סדר במקום הזה. איך סדר? הולך סדר, לעשות סדר בכל האזור הזה. איך? זהו, אין מה לעשות. איך הוא יעשה? זהו. אין, אכלתם אותה. זהו. נגמר עם כל מה שאתה עושה פה, כל הבית זונות שאתה הולך לעשות פה. מה אני עושה? נגמר. אני עושה משהו נגד החוק? אתה עושה הכל נגד החוק. אני קובע מה החוק ואתה עושה פה נגד החוק. לך אחורה.
And to unpack the issue and all the developments politically, security-wise around the country right now, we're joined in the studio by Yariv Oppenheimer, project director for the Two-State Coalition, former director of Peace Now, and also from out in Hebron, joined by Yishai Fleisher, who's a spokesman for the Jewish community of Hebron. Yishai, with a great backdrop there. Thanks for joining us, both of you. I'm going to bring this first question in studio here, Yariv. I want to make a statement here, a bit of it. There's a lot of clashes between activists, IDF soldiers, with cameras, and from my experience out there may be more of this in our arena than anywhere else in the world. We don't have policies prohibiting, activists from approaching soldiers. There's a lot of these incidents. But what is new here is that these soldiers are openly claiming that a new firebrand politician has got their backs, that, it's okay. Should we be overly concerned by this display?
I think that what we are seeing is only the trailer for what we are going to have in the next few years, because we have a government that is going to back up this kind of behavior. And we saw in the movie, eventually, we saw a soldier hit a civilian with no provocation, no threat to his life or to his security. Every person that knows the difference between right and wrong should go against this kind of behavior. Unfortunately, the future Minister of Police and National Security, they are calling it now, is not saying the same thing. Is actually saying that we should investigate the victim and not the soldier that hit this civilian. And this is where we are going as a society, to a situation in which, when you are taking left-wing position, when you are active in a human rights organization, when you are coming to the West Bank to see what's going on and to protest in a democratic way, so the reaction will be violence, and it will be backup from the government. This is anti-democratic, this is anti-Zionist, and this is wrong.
Yishai, I want to draw you into this.
And again, I'm afraid that this is only the promo.
Yishai, what do you say? What was your reaction to seeing this? I mean, look, again, this phenomenon, protesters, look, I know from experience, it's problematic for soldiers on duty. We could debate whether there should be policies, maybe, that protect soldiers on duty from even having to deal with these people who think that kids in uniform should be the target of their issues with national policies. Aside, what did you think about this display, though, that they're taking to the camera, talking about Ben-Gvir, having their back? Is that how it should be? Oh, no. Did we lose you, Yishai? There you go. Do you hear me?
Here I am again. I'm sorry about that. I think that the biggest problem is that we let left-wing provocations come into places like Hebron, deal with 18-year-olds, bother them. What Yariv said, that there was no instigation beforehand. There was, and it's on video, instigation, provocation. I'm not justifying the violent act that took place afterwards, but we understand the situation that's happening out here. These guys are coming for that. In fact, that left-wing provocateur, that video that he got was exactly what he wanted. He wanted to show the Israeli army is violent and problematic instead of showing it for what it is, which is trying to keep the peace around here. He came on the side of trying to create a problem that wasn't there beforehand. The police should have stopped him earlier. And I think that's part of what the soldier said, which is, not that it's going to be excused violence against left-wing protesters, that we're just going to be smarter about it, making sure that they don't come into the city, to make sure that they don't provoke, they don't cause violence amongst both Arabs and Jews, and just keep the peace. That's what we're trying to do around here. We're trying to exist, live in peace, trying to keep the Arab population safe and happy, the Israeli Jewish population safe and happy. And there's these people that come in, Euro-funded, troublemakers who want to see that conflict, and that's exactly what happened.
Yishai, do you think, I'm just going to follow up here, I mean, Ben-Gvir's presence, his persona already in communities such as Hebron, how much further is that going? Is this just a scratching the surface, as Yariv saying here, about the influence already of this type of politician?
Well, if you mean scratching the surface of pushing back on jihadism, then yes, I think it's the beginning. I think that so many Israelis feel that the country's become lawless. They feel that they pay protection rackets in the south, that they're afraid of living around Gaza because of the rockets. They feel that the mixed Arab-Israeli cities are actually much more violent than anybody, believed beforehand, that actually there's a lot of jihadism and hate there, and that could explode just like we saw last.
There's a bit of a glitch here, Yishai. I know you're referring to the incidents last week. I'm interested in keeping this going. I'm going to come back to the studio here, Yariv. Ben-Gvir, among other things now, he's talking tough on these issues. He's also talking about changing the IDF rules of engagement. How is he, where does he qualify himself to start talking about these things? He was barred from national service based on extremist activity, never served in the army. Now he's the expert on what's happening in the field?
I think that he's, in many ways, expressed the anger of many Israelis that feel that there is not enough security. Unfortunately, Ben-Gvir is not...
That message is resonating. I mean, it's resonating.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Ben-Gvir is not the solution, he's the problem. Because if Israel will adopt his idea, there will be more violence. The Palestinians will not sit aside and be quiet. But I'm afraid as an Israeli, almost a personal fear, that the character of the society will change. When I will go to the police, I will think that the police is a political police. Because if it's a right wing that is harming soldiers, then they will do nothing for him. I want to remind you, last Saturday, we had a real fight between right-wing activists and soldiers. I didn't see the settlers coming to protect the soldiers then. But if it's going to be left-wing organization, or even myself, going to protest, going to do something peaceful, and I will be blocked, or I will be punished because of that, because this is a political police and a political army. And when we are talking about Ben-Gvir as a minister that is responsible to what's going on in the West Bank, I'm not jealous of the settlers, I'm not jealous of the peace activists, I'm not jealous of the Palestinians that are going to expose to this kind of policy. And I think that this is very scary for many Israelis, that we will not be able to trust the police because of the minister.
I want to come back, Yishai, if you hear us okay.
Except that the majority of Israelis voted for this kind of government because they're tired of left-wing abuse and jihadism.
Yishai, what kind of impact, you were touching on this, Yishai, what kind of impact do you want to see Ben-Gvir make, or his party make, on the Israeli landscape of security right now?
I think we want to see our soldiers not be prosecuted all the time. I think we want to see the terrorists not have a wonderful time in prison. I think we want them to feel that prison is actually a dark and bad thing for hurting Jews. I think that we want to get at those terrorists, the thieves, let's say, that are land thieves in the Negev, the terrorists that are bullying people, the small terrorism that happens when women are afraid to walk in Beersheba. And that's why Israel voted for Ben-Gvir and his party in this coalition. The Yariv doesn't want to admit the truth, which is that people want their security back, and they're tired of this sense of
Itamar Ben-Gvir was one of the reasons why we lost security in East Jerusalem, in Sheikh Jarrah, in other places.
No, the opposite.
The commander of the police was saying it a few months ago, that the new intifada and the new clashes between Israelis and Palestinians is because of Ben-Gvir behavior.
People want their security back, and they voted for it. That's the bottom line. People like Yariv Oppenheimer, the party that he represents, just got knocked out of the Knesset completely. They're not even in the Knesset. So the point is that people like him and his version of give everything away.
In history, not always the majority is taking the moral position and the right position.
That's right. You're the moral, but your morality has been voted away.
We can carry this on all day. I appreciate both of you being here. Let it run up to the buzzer. Thanks you both for coming and joining the debate.